Hope you have a good trip, George. Uncle Billy and I are going to miss you.
I miss you too, Pop. What's the matter? You look tired.
Oh, I had another tussle with Potter today.
Uh-oh.
I thought when we put him on the board of directors, he'd ease up on us a little bit.
Well, what's eating that old money-grubbing buzzard anyway?
Oh, he's a sick man. Frustrated, sick in his mind, sick in his soul if he has one. He hates everybody that has anything that he can't have. Hates us mostly, I guess.
Yeah.
Gangway. So long, Pop.
So long.
Oh, you got a match?
Very funny, very funny.
Put those things in the car, and I'll get your tie and studs ready for you. Now, hurry up.
Okay, Mom.
Now,
You coming
don't
later?
drop one of those.
You coming later, George?
What do you mean? It'd be bored to death?
Couldn't want a better death. Lots of pretty girls. We're going to use that new floor tonight, too.
Oh, overworked.
No gin tonight, son.
Oh, Pop, just a little?
No, son, not one drop.
Boys and girls and music. Why do they need gin?
Well, did I act like that when I graduated from high school?
Pretty much. You know, George, I wish we could send Harry to college with you. Your mother and I talked it over half the night.
We have that all figured out. See, Harry will take my job in the building alone, work there for 4 years, and he'll go.
Pretty young for that job.
Oh, no younger than I was.
Well, you were born older, George.
How's that?
I say you were born older. I suppose you've decided what you want to do when you get out of college.
Oh, well, you know what I've always talked about. Build things, design new buildings, plan modern cities. All that stuff I've been talking
Still
about.
after that first million before you're 30, huh?
No, I'll settle for half that in cash.
Of course, it's just a hope, but you wouldn't consider coming back to the building alone, would you?
Well, Well, Annie, why don't you draw up a chair? Then you'd be more comfortable and you could hear everything that's going on.
I would if I thought I'd hear anything worth listening to.
You would. I know it's soon to talk about it.
No, not Pop. I couldn't. I couldn't face being cooped up for the rest of my life in a shabby little office. No, I'm sorry, Pop. I didn't mean that. It's this business of nickels and dimes and spending all your life trying to figure out how to save 3 cents a length of pipe. I'd go crazy. I want to do something big and something important.
You know, George, I feel that in a small way we're doing something important. It's satisfying a fundamental urge. It's deep in the race for a man to want his own roof and walls and fireplace. And we're helping him get those things in our shabby little office.
I know, Pop. I know that. I wish I felt that I've been hoarding pennies like a miser here in order to... Most of my friends have already finished college. I just feel like if I didn't get away, I'd bust.
Mm-hmm. Yes. You're right, son.
You see what I mean, don't you, Pop?
This town is no place for any man unless he's willing to crawl to Potter. Now, you've got talent, son. I've seen it. You get yourself an education and get out of here.
Pop, you want a shock? I think you're a great guy.
So right out of the gates with the Liberty Films. And then the all the prayers. I love how when after you see it multiple times, you're like, oh yeah, right out from the Bailey House, and you try to pick out who is who. But I like how they do that. Those are the special effects version of 1946. Is that what it is?
1946. Yeah.
The special effects with the Clarence. It was just clever little way to show Clarence and
Now,
his little sound effects, his little music, and then they go to 1919.
But that's obviously God speaking to, like, right? I mean, that
Joseph.
God and what?
Speaking to Joseph?
Yeah. So it's Joseph and God speaking, and then they bring Clarence in.
Yes. I assume so.
What are you drinking now? What are you drinking now?
That was seamless. You put one cup down and put another glass up.
You go from martinis to beer?
He's in it for the long haul.
Okay.
It's Tuesday night. Wait, is it Tuesday night? I don't know. Yeah, so great beginning. Goes to 1919.
Yeah.
To the flashback, and the little shit Harry is already complaining that he calls him saying I'm not afraid.
Yep.
George saves his ass first time.
Okay, there's your first Harry complaint.
Yeah. I mean,
Bing. There should be a bell. Bing.
not that bad, but but trying to be a show off, smarten up, kid.
Exactly.
But you cost your brother his healing.
But I got
The first time he's bailing you.
But he was the leader of the gang. You can see that he was the leader of that group, right?
Yep.
I thought the young George played the old George perfectly.
He had little.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
Yeah, like little.
So
he was later a producer or something.
So I looked at
that kid.
So that kid went on to produce a couple movies like Demolition Man with Wesley Snipes and Sly Stallone, and Passage of 57 with Wesley Snipes and some other. I swear to God,
had to be money makers.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Excellent. Impressive.
He played Harry George Bailey perfectly. So I just thought it was awesome. I looked at him as the leader of that group, the one that had all the dreams and all the hopes, and probably could have went the farthest if he went off and did his own thing. But you can see that he had a lot of passion for life, even as a child.
And yet,
already had a job too.
All the kids made fun of him because he had a job. All the other kids.
Mr. Potter makes his first appearance. Is that a king? Come on, Clarence.
Yes. And I was actually just saying that to Mikey the other day, where I had so much respect for that little George Bailey who ends up pushing Potter.
All right, we'll get to that.
Putting his hands on him, telling him that his dad was, obviously, in his mind, the best dad. But
that part was great. But so yeah, Clarence is like, is that a king? And it's like, Jesus, Clarence, how could it be a king? Like, do you not know anything on Earth?
He's reading Tom Sawyer, so.
I know. Okay.
Well, when did Clarence die?
I shouldn't besmirch Clarence. He's one of the greats.
And he died in what, 1860 something? When did he die?
Well, he said he was 200 and something years old. So
290.
Yeah.
293 last May. So that's why he had the funny looking underwear.
Yeah.
And,
that's
one of the best scenes. That's one of the best scenes. That'll probably be in part 3. But so George gets to work, and that's when he sees Violet and Mary. By the way, great scene, great setup just to show their later selves. George with a little rude with the calling her brainless.
Yeah, I was saying get you down, help you down.
Yeah.
That was
with Violet, yeah.
Yeah.
So what an odd. I mean, obviously, Mr. Gower had some reason to be so upset, but right out of the gate, yelling at him.
So quick question. He died in 1919 of the influenza. Was that the 1918 flu? I just threw that out there because I've been hearing so much about that, right?
Very possible. Very possible. Poor Mr. Gower, though, sitting there with the picture of his son. And, that was a great scene. George tries to tell him. So one of my favorite scenes, like you said, Dave, is just one of my top 30 scenes. Out of my top 50 scenes. It's way up.
On a list. Let me check the list.
So I just love that he looks at the sign that says "Ask Dad." By the way, what cigarette is that? It's Smoke Carapol or something you'd never hear. That's a trivia question for you.
It just shows right away that he has a conscience and he will go out of the way to do the right thing,
right?
Even at personal cost.
But I want to go back for a second because I don't understand this. This is one exchange that I never got. How did George know that Violet wanted 2-cent shoelaces?
She's a regular.
Okay, was that
a regular in a lot of things? But...
Right. That was funny. Like, it's not like, do you want something to eat? You here for your shoelaces again?
That's a good question, though. Good question. He should the usual.
Yeah. Always.
Can I give you the usual? Yeah, Mary gives her a little raspberry and then gives the old nice scene with her whispering into George's ear, which he obviously would have heard,
or felt
with his other ear, but still nice. So like Dave mentioned, great scene when he goes in to ask his father and he gets sidetracked. Sees his father getting in the dirt with Mr. P, and gets sidetracked that he totally forgot what he was going there for. So when he gets out of the when he gets booted out of the room, that's great acting by the kid. When you look, he looks on this, he just looks down and he remembers why he went there in the first place, and he's like, oh, he's just like so exasperated. Just looks like. Yeah,
but that's classic George. He was always he's always there for someone else. Never thinking of himself.
Right.
So.
I mean, you would hope anybody would do that and not let Mr. Gower murder some innocent kid with a jar that clearly said poison. But
didn't it say rat
he did
poison?
do the right thing. He didn't deliver the poison. He did the right thing.
Even if he got the shit kicked out of him in the process.
But I think the bar said rat poisoning too, right?
That scene is wild, yeah.
I don't know if act like kids' safety or Hollywood safety was the same back then, because I feel like he whacked that kid good.
He did. So there's actually if you read anything about that, he actually whacked it. He whacked him really hard.
He was actually bleeding, they said. No, I'm serious. I looked that up. It said he drew blood. I don't know if my kids will say, would he even really? He had an ear injury. He was deaf in his ear. Would that make him bleed? But supposedly, I don't know if that's true. But that actually, look it up.
Well, the kid didn't break, then he kept going.
I did look it up. He did. He definitely got hurt, and the guy felt really bad afterwards. But it was just
he beat the crap out of him. Yeah, that scene always chokes you up a little seeing him see what he did, and you can forgive Mr. Gower for that.
Mm-hmm.
Boy got to die. So,
but never told on him. Look what in today's world, that would be all over. Be everywhere. Mr. Gower would be
on TikTok,
expunged from the world. So.
Instead, it got George a nice suitcase.
Yeah, they also got George a lifelong friend that was there for him at the end. So
that's the next scene, right?
That's true.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is that the next scene?
We get I don't know how old Jimmy Stewart was when this movie came out, but they do a great job of at least making him look older later, so he seems so much younger.
Yeah. He's like a little. He's supposed to be. Well, he's supposed to be.
19?
That's right after Harry graduated,
so
he's supposed to be 21, I think.
Yeah.
So
he stayed back 4 years, right, from college.
Yeah.
He stayed back 4 years after high school.
Okay.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yep. The first time he doesn't leave. So
always I'm just about to go do something great. Nope, not yet.
Yep.
Exactly. Oh, we'll get to it, but one of mine is one of my favorite scenes. But speaking of one of my favorite scenes, is that when he next is he's walking and Violet causes the accident, and inappropriate comments from Ernie going home to check out the wife.
Because he goes, I'm going to go check on. I didn't quite get it. He's going to check on his wife. I think he was
yes.
I get it now.
He's going to check on his wife and pretend his wife was Violet.
So
Bert and Ernie.
So yeah, when the scene with George and his dad, so great.
That
was a great scene. That's a great scene, and that's an emotional.
That's the next scene, right?
The dinner table.
Yeah, that's the next scene.
David, you're the expert. You watch it
every
nightly.
Every night. Even I start watching it nightly, typically around October. I'm not kidding.
That's great. So
sometimes I'll watch the last 30 minutes. Sometimes I watch the first 40 minutes. Depends where my mood is at.
Right. So to backtrack, when did you first watch the movie? When do you remember? When do you remember you liking it so much?
So I remember watching it at my father's parents' house on Christmas Eve. And I was at my dad's parents' house for Christmas Eve forever. And it was always on no matter what. So that was always background noise in the early days for me. And then I watched it probably when my daughter was a couple of years old, from beginning to end on Christmas Eve. And then I made it.
I didn't force it on you. I'm surprised I didn't force it on you.
No, and then I started watching with her. I made it a Christmas Day tradition where we'd wake up, her and I, we'd wake up together and watch it.
That's great.
Yeah. I still watch it every Christmas Day, even though I've seen it a million times.
Does she share the love?
I think she just shares the love of just hanging out with me to watch it, to be honest with you. So, I know that's going to sound corny. If she ever hears that, she's going to probably...
We'll take that. I'm sure she's I'm sure she's not going to
she'll throw up
every night, but we'll take it.
Must be nice to have kids.
My daughter, I gave her the remote. Did I tell you this? I think I might have been telling my buddy this, that I'm watching TV and every night we're watching some Christmas movie, and I gave her the remote and I was looking at my phone. I'm like, here, put on a Christmas movie. And then I hear the bells. I hear the Liberty. I'm like, you want to watch this, Grace? She's like, yeah. I'm like, yes.
They've been playing it more on TV lately, too. Like USA has it now. I think, other networks have it, too. But
I actually DVR'd USA.
Yeah, USA's on Friday night.
From 3 years ago, though. It's been on my DVR since then.
But it used to be only on once a year, like Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
Right?
There was something to do. So I read about it that nobody had the rights to it until 1990. So
you could play it as much as you want, yeah.
Yeah, so you could play. That's how it got its popularity.
Mm-hmm.
So, because like you guys said, it was a box office bust.
Right.
It was filmed in July. You know that, right? You know.
Yep.
I don't know.
I do know that.
The scenes where George is sweating profusely is because it was during a heat wave, not just filmed in July. It was a heat wave.
I was trying to figure out how they did the snow. I don't know if it's just that.
Well, that's it. So supposedly they used to do like just cornflakes painted white.
Yeah.
But Capra was like this, making like a terrible sound. So it was some new type of styrofoam that they used. It was supposedly a change in the technology.
I've heard soap shavings. Some movies that used to use those.
I believe it. I believe they use anything. Okay. So George at the dinner table with his father. Well, first, Harry sexually assaults their maid.
He follows her in the room. I go, what's like? That's the thought that was in my head. Yeah.
Yeah, he was.
It touches it. He winds up.
Oh, they were both flirting with her. Good.
And then, this is another thing. So then George has a nice little conversation with his father. A nice moment. His father asks him if he would think about staying. George accidentally insults him, saying, "I'd go crazy, doing that." And then his father's like, "I understand, And then, so George's last words.
He called it a crummy little office.
What's that?
He called it a crummy little office.
Yeah, he's trying to save 2 cents on a piece of pipe. I don't know if that was that scene. I think it was that scene. It was that scene. So George's last words to his dad were, I'm going to shock you. I think you're a great guy. Yeah. And Harry's last conversation with his dad was begging if he could have gin. He was whining. Gin.
Not a drop.
So,
oh, that's right. That's all the same night. Okay.
I love that.
Yeah. One drop.
My buddy Brian says that he actually says to his son Jack, says, "No gin tonight, son." Not one drop. Oh, come on. Out of here, Harry.
I love that scene. That is just like every kid wanted to wants to get out of the town they grew up in,
Yep.
And again, going back to that first scene where he was a member of the National Geographic,
Yep.
He was going to explore the world, and it just never happened. Well, it didn't happen yet, anyways.
So right, the next scene was the Charleston.
So a couple thoughts on that. Number one, did they say they saved $1 million by putting the pool under the?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So that pool was really in there. I mean, obviously, but
Not one person. They're all, whoa, but they wanted them to fall in. Everyone wanted them to fall in. Nobody stopped them.
Nope.
That was a good scene. I love the teacher, the old guy jumps in.
Right.
Yeah, I like when Alfalfa was like, "Hey, that's my girl." I love that scene.
He's like, what did he say? Stop being so annoying. He's like, oh, I'm sorry.
And he goes, hey, he goes, why don't you go annoy
Stop
someone
annoying
else?
everyone.
Hey,
He said, stop annoying everyone.
And then he apologized.
By the way, Mary and George, a little out of line. I mean, he was annoying the crap out of her, probably. You know, he's telling her some story, but yeah, that when you first see Donna Reed in that scene, it's like boom. She gives a look to George.
Yep.
That's the first time she does. They do the close up on her face.
Yeah. If Bert saw her, he'd go home and check on his wife.
Yeah, he would.
No, see, I was saying this to Chris earlier. Donna Reed, you can say everything you want about Violet being, incredibly beautiful and all that, but Donna Reed could become beautiful, but also could nail that girl next door look too, which she did in that next scene when she was wearing that robe. I thought she was the prettiest, and that scene was her prettiest.
I like that she was working at the library.
I do like that too. The plain Jane look.
Yeah.
The 40-year-old spinster.
Yeah, that's what it was. I couldn't think of like, oh, she's an old maid. Yeah. So who's the guy that he knew that Alfalfa, I'm just going to keep calling him Alfalfa. Alfalfa was upset. So he had the key. He's like, come on, let's do it. He's like, let's open up the pool. Who was that guy? Came out of nowhere.
That was great.
I don't know who that guy was.
Just causing trouble.
It wasn't too hard either.
No.
It was pretty easy.
But
then
then
little,
and
it
then
didn't work out.
Even them, they're like, they went swimming too. They're like,
All right. Next scene.
Next scene is obviously when. Oh, did you say that Mary actually was a high school baseball player? Did you hear about that?
No.
She had a
so
good
they
arm.
were supposed to. They hired a sharpshooter to shoot out the window at the what's the house?
Oh, I forget the house's
The
name.
320 Sycamore?
Yes, Grant. I forget the name of it. It's not important. But so they were going to have someone shoot even like a BB gun or something to shoot the window out, thinking she couldn't do it. And I guess she played high school baseball, so she actually threw the rock that broke the window.
Oh,
interesting.
But yeah, that scene was then it took a turn when Uncle Billy and Harry
See, that scene today would have been assault when he stepped on the road.
Oh, it took a lot of very problematic, that scene. He didn't give it back to her right away.
No, he didn't give it back to her. It was
the cops would be on his side.
The cops would be on his side. Yes, that's what they said.
But she was unbelievably beautiful in that scene.
She was.
Oh my God. And he looked very young in that scene. They made him look very young too.
Yep.
My wife and I, side note, my wife and I was like, we have to go for Halloween one year as her in the robe and me in the
football stripe.
1930s football, 1920s football.
But see, in that scene, he obviously, you knew he was falling in love with her. I mean, you wanted to last with the moon. You basically give her
great job by that old guy, though.
What did you say, sir?
But his line was perfect. The youth is wasted on the young, which is, I know it's an old cliche, but it's.
He's 100% right.
That guy wanted to see it bad.
That guy's like,
that's where he was in life. He could only see it, couldn't do it.
Come on, George, do it.
I wonder how old that guy was in that scene.
45, probably.
Right? Because
I'd live it back then.
You're 50, I'm 46, right? He's probably close to that age.
Yeah.
And he looked pretty goddamn old.
He did.
So I put a pause to the conversation there, but it's going to pick up pretty much right where we left off in the next episode, Just want to give a quick shout out to everyone who has listened and subscribed. Thank you very much. We are available pretty much everywhere podcasts are available now. Spotify, Apple, Amazon even. If you listen on Apple, if you want to throw us a rating or review, that would be really great and help other people find us. The website where you can find us and links in every episode and how to subscribe is at fans.experts.com/Pottersville. That's Poddersville. Get it?
Fans not experts.
Wish I had $1 million. Hot dog!